All right, so this has taken me a little bit to figure out. I think I've got it now. Um, so here are my projects or programs for the final project. My first one is from Lab 2, which is the student grade program. My second project is for Lab 1, which was the voting program. So without any further ado, let's get into this. All right, so here's project 1. Got my student grades. We got name validation. So it's basically just looking for any entry, put my name in here, and then try to submit again. It won't let me because I need a number for the number of attempts. So if I leave it blank or put in a letter, it's not going to like that. The number of attempts is also going to expect an entry between 1 and 4. So anything outside of that, and it's not going to be very happy. Let's say I took 3 attempts on whatever this test is. So now I need to enter my scores. Again, if I put in a letter, it's going to shoot me an error saying that the score needs to be numeric. So let's say I really sucked it up the first time. I got a 50. Then I doubled my score and got a 60. And then the last time I managed to get up to a 79. Wow. And we hit submit, and it tells us what my final score is. And then I can hit new student and start again. Say this student's name is Barry, and he only needed 1 attempt because he's a star pupil, getting a 90 on his first attempt. And I must have double clicked that on accident. Do it one more time. Steph, 2 attempts, and got a 65 and a 87. Not 876. It's not going to like that. Oh yeah, forgot to show off the validation here, I think. It's got to be between 0 and 100. So if I stick numbers that aren't that in, it's going to shoot me an error message and expect me to re-enter them. All right. So that's the GUI. Let's go ahead and see what the CSV looks like. So here we see that all of our students have their attempts entered. The final grade is just the highest of the attempts. Nothing fancy going on there. Pretty simple stuff, I think. If I were to continue working on this, I'd probably want to work on coming up with another way of maybe some options for determining how the final grade is determined, like a toggle that determines how it's calculated, and maybe a function for curving class grades and displaying the average as well. Anyway, that's project 1. Here's project 2, which is the voting application I worked on. So we've got a GUI window that wants me to put in the voter ID. So I have to have an entry, and it can't be a letter. So basically, if it's blank or if I put in any combination of numbers and letters, it's going to shoot me this error message. If I put in just a number, it's going to tell me that's too short. It needs to be 8 digits long. So throw in 8 ones, and now I can vote. Got this little drop down here with my candidate. So we'll select Jack, and we'll say we want to throw a vote Jack's way. So now Jack has a vote. And then this is the part that I'm really most proud of here is I created an admin function that will then, if you enter the admin username, it's going to kind of jump out of that testing to make sure that it's 8 digits that are entered and instead jump us over to this password entry page. If I enter an incorrect password, it's going to tell me I did. So let's go ahead and enter the correct password, which is the same as our admin username. That's something I'd like to add is a function to change the admin password, but I don't have that right now. So here we can count our vote. Jack has 1 vote. Obviously, this is meant to be done at the end of voting, since it says congratulations, Jack. He won with 1 vote. That's something I'd like to work on, getting this so if there's only 1 vote, it says just 1 vote. It was more important to me though that I had the logic for each of these buttons done. So that's what I really devoted my energy toward. But anyway, let's continue looking at what this stuff does. So if I hit new candidate, I can enter a new candidate's name. It's not going to like it if I leave it blank. Otherwise, I can enter anything. Let's try entering Jack. This is kind of a caveat to entering anything because Jack is already in our list of candidates. I have to introduce someone new. So we'll do Jane. And now Jane has been added to our options. And just to be fun and have one more, we'll add Jake as well. So we'll go back. Now, if we count our vote, it shows us that Jack still has 1 vote, but now we have 2 new entries, each with 0 votes. So we hit cancel, and that'll bump us back to our voter ID entry. We can't vote again as this guy. So we need to enter a new voter ID. And we'll just kind of go down the line with new voter IDs. Make sure everybody gets a vote, and then we'll make sure there's a winner here. All right. So now we'll go back to our admin function, kind of tabulate the votes. As far as functions go for this, biggest thing I'd like to do is see we've got a tie. We don't have a clear winner, and I don't have a function that handles that right now. And if I was to continue working on that, I think that would be the biggest thing I'd work on. Would be making sure that ties are handled. Like obviously having the votes, the words in here come up depending on how many votes are cast. That would be kind of cool to have too, but the biggest thing would be handling ties, I think. But yeah, that's this GUI in a nutshell. I think I covered everything. And we can take a look at the CSV now. So we've got everybody with their correct number of votes. Anytime that I update a vote or a candidate, this is updating as well. I'm pulling this data. I'm not actually pulling directly from the CSV when I pull this information. I have a dictionary that I set up that contains this information. And that's where I pull it from. And that's what I've written to this CSV with as well. But yeah, across these 2 projects, I feel like the biggest takeaways I had were in terms of managing CSVs. For this program, I had a hard time getting the CSV to do what I wanted it to do, like having to read, having to update the CSV. I was having a hard time with that. I was trying to use Append, and then I tried to use Append Plus, and it just wasn't working. So I ended up having to here. I do this. So what I ended up doing is anytime I update the CSV now, I just pull back from that dictionary and write the values back into the CSV with write. I was trying to do it a little differently earlier, but this works well. That was another big thing working with dictionaries I never really felt comfortable with. And I still would say I'm not 100% comfortable with it, but I feel a lot better about it after this program. And then doc strings and type hinting. I feel like getting familiarity with those was good because I felt pretty shaky on them before. And obviously, if I screwed them up, then I should probably still feel shaky with them. But I'm assuming that you'll let me know and give me feedback on that if that's the case. And then the drop down. The drop down is probably the biggest new thing I did here. Had obviously never touched it before in class. And it was cool to learn how to do it and get it to update the entries in it. So that was a lot of fun. And then beyond just the programming aspect, I think that perseverance was a big thing I took away from this. There were a bunch of times where I was super frustrated and I was ready to give up. For project two, especially, there was a point in the middle of this week where I was ready to just say, whatever, I'm just going to do the bare minimum and leave it at that. And the perseverance combined with kind of taking a step back and giving myself some room to breathe was a big help for getting beyond that feeling of just wanting to give up. Like I don't think anything that I've done here is perfect. I'm pretty sure there's still some redundancies in my code that I didn't catch. But I'm pretty satisfied, especially with how Project 2 came out. So yeah, I'm looking forward to your feedback, and hopefully these projects aren't just I didn't totally misunderstand what I was supposed to be doing with these. Anyway, have a great weekend and a great summer. Thank you. And I got to figure out how to turn this recording off.